There. So this is a video that I am making to go along with, to accompany a blog post that I've just written called Bending Your Own Aging Curve, How to Deal with Age-Related Muscle Mass Loss. So as we age, starting in our 30s, we start to lose muscle mass just over the course of aging. And this is called sarcopenia. It's age-related muscle mass or muscle loss. And when we say muscle mass, we're talking about the mass of the muscle. So when a muscle is bigger, it's typically stronger, right? We've built it, we've created what's called hypertrophy. The cells in the muscle have gotten bigger and stronger, and they have more capacity to produce force. So producing force could be anything as, you know, if I reach down to pick something up, that's my muscles producing force. So that's what we're really talking about with strength. So in this blog post that I wrote, I'm really targeting with this video those of you who are not currently resistance training. So you're not going to the gym and working on any of the machines for strength training, or you're not using free weights. Maybe you're not even using resistance bands on any kind of regular basis. So I want to just be clear about a couple things without dampening your spirits too much. The way that we're going to deal with age-related muscle loss is by resistance training. Yeah, and if you read my blog post, you'll see there's a little bit more information on that. But one of the things that we can do to begin resistance training is use our body as the weight that we're resisting with, because for most of us who are not strength training with weights or on any kind of machines, we don't yet have the capacity to lift a whole lot of weight. And so that's how people get injured, is they try to do too much too soon. So I really think building a platform or a foundation of strength first with body weight or with very lightweight is a good way to go. However, particularly, and I'm speaking to women here in particular, because especially women my age and older, we didn't get a lot of opportunity to weight train. That's not something we learned in junior high and high school. That was certainly not one of the modules I learned in junior high and high school, or even college for that matter. And what I really want you to know is, in order to really build strength, the kind of strength we're looking for in terms of our capacity to deal with age-related muscle loss, is that we got to put the pink weights down. You know what I'm talking about, right? The little ones, the 3, the 5s, the 8s. And we need to learn to lift what in the industry we call heavy shit. But you don't start that way. So we start building foundationally, and then progressively over time, as our tissues tolerate better load, bigger load, not better load, bigger loads, more force production is built into the muscle. And as we create more strength, we have to keep stimulating the muscles in order to create more strength. So in other words, I can go to the gym and I can do 5-pound bicep curls until the cows come home. And what happens is, yeah, I'm maintaining a little bit of strength over time, but I'm not building anything new. If I can do 15 easy 5-pound bicep curls, then that means I'm strong enough to do 15 easy bicep curls. And if I want to get stronger, which is what we want to do for age-related muscle mass loss, then I'm going to have to add stimulus to that 5 pounds. All of that being said, if you're moving your body, I'm happy, but I'd be happier if you learn to lift heavy shit. So in the blog post, you're going to see that I wrote, try these 5 exercises on your next walk. Find a park bench and try these exercises. So they're going to include a squat, a hip hinge, which is also called a deadlift, push-ups, and rows. And in rows, shoulder and arm rows, you're going to see me use a 2-pound bottle of water, not because it's going to make me much stronger, but because it gives me something on the end of this hand to resist a little bit. Because when I row, I'm not really using body weight. I'm not holding the weight of my body up. The other thing that I think is really important, particularly for the aging population, is what's called step ups and step downs. Because one of the things that we find in the aging process that becomes an issue for people with stability and in terms of strength is actually being able to go up and down stairs, right? How many people are considering, well, the home I'm living in is not going to serve me until I'm 100 because it's got 2 stories to it. Well, if we train how to be strong to go up and down stairs, then we should be able to live in our homes for as long as we can. Okay, so those 5 exercises. So what you're going to see me do right now is I'm going to go through the 5 exercises. I'm not going to give you a whole lot of information about them. You can join me in my longevity strength workshops for that. But we're going to do 15, and if 15 is too many, then you back off of that. We're going to do 15 squats from a park bench up. Obviously, I'm not in a park. I'm in my studio here in my home in Bend. We're going to do 15 squats down to a park bench and back up. We're going to do 15 hip hinge deadlifts over towards the park bench. We're going to do 15 push-ups. 15 might be too many, so we can break it up into 3 sets of 5, right? Or we could do 5 sets of 3. 15 may be too many for you. You might only be able to do 10. Then we're going to do 15 on each arm, body weight rows. Now, why are we doing so many? We're doing so many because you're only using your body weight. When we start adding plate weight or dumbbell weight or barbell weight, we do far less repetitions because it's a heavier thing we're lifting. And finally, we're going to do some step ups. And in actuality, I'd like you to do 10 or 15 on each leg, but I'll probably only do 7 or 8 on each leg simply because of timing. So easy way to start building resistance into your life 2 to 3 times a week is most of you are out there walking on a regular basis. Put this into your walk. It takes 10 minutes or less. 1 round of 15 of each of those things, 12 to 15 of each of those things, or 2 rounds. If you got 2 park benches, that's even better. And we want to resistance train 2 to 3 times a week. So if we find a place to put it into our life, rather than having to make a whole nother spot where we do this, it might be helpful. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we're on our walk, we're warmed up, we've walked a mile, we walked a half mile, maybe we've been chatting with a friend and maybe we can get a friend to do this with us. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do 15 squats to the chair. Take your legs in a comfortable position. They can be slightly turned out. You're going to send the buttocks down to the park bench slowly, and then you're going to stand back up. So it's slow on the way down, and this will be in the second part of my blog post, and quick on the way up. So on the way down, we're asking the muscles to put the brakes on, and then we powerfully stand up. You can come down, you can see I'm trying to keep my torso pretty upright, and I'm going to stand up. This could be much lower, right? Maybe you can do this off of a park bench. That's fine. You can go lower. This is my 6th one. I'm going to lower down 7. You do this with me, I hope. 8. If you're not doing this with me, stop the video. 9. Go grab a chair and rewind. 10. Come on, just do it with me. 11. Nike is not paying me. 12. Just do it. Slow down 13. Slow down 14. All I'm doing is just my body weight. Slow down 15. Okay, good. So now I'm going to face the park bench. I'm going to stand back from it. I'm going to narrow my feet a little bit. So the squat was pretty wide and slightly turned out so that I could drop my buttock. And you can see I hip hinge, but I hip hinge going down. In a hip hinge deadlift, I'm going to go more forward. So my trunk becomes the stimulus of weight bearing for my glutes, my quadriceps, my hamstrings. So my legs are going to be a little more narrow and a little more pointed straight forward. And what I'm going to do is hinge my hips, take my trunk forward. Don't think of yoga forward bend, and stand back up. And I'm going to stand back up and go over from my legs. So in other words, I'm not using my trunk to do the work. So for right now, what I'd like you to do is just keep your arms long and imagine there's something down there that you're going to pick up. You're not going to. You can even tap the bench with your fingertips, but don't get in the habit of doing a lot of elbow bending with this deadlift. So I'm going to send my buttock back, my knees bend a little bit. I come down to the level of the bench. So that was slow. And then I don't lift with my shoulders first. I push from my legs, stand up. That was 1. Slow on the way down. That was 2. 3. Adjust the angle of your joints. 4. Your buttock definitely goes back. 5. 6. Spread your toes. 7. So if you're in a park, 8, you're in shoes. Yeah. 9, remember that shoes, especially shoes that have a higher heel lift than the ball. 10, we're going to put you on a slightly downhill activity. So every now and then, if you can, take your shoes off and do these body weight exercises. Let me turn really sideways for you. See how my butt goes back? And this is 15. So that you've got a really flat foot. Your foot is on the ground and you're not in a shoe always that dumps you forward to the balls of your feet. Okay, so those are the first 2 exercises. The next are push-ups. Everybody's going to be really different with push-ups. If you can't yet do a push-up onto a park bench, that's too low for you. The angle's too low. You're going to go to a tree. Your hands will be pretty close on a tree or the post or a fence or something that's a little higher on your walk. And you'll do your push-ups at a wall. Same tempo. We go slow on the way down. We come quickly up. You need to keep the form in your body so that you don't get into a deep arch and your head doesn't come forward. So you're going to see me do them on the chair, and my chair is going to move. So I'm going to move my chair a little bit onto this carpet so that it doesn't move. And I'm going to bring my shoulders over my hands. I can go deep and slow. I'm a pretty good push-upper. So I'm going to imagine that I'm not such a great push-upper, that I'm new to this. So I might be able to only bend my elbows this much, and then I push up. Now, the thing about push-ups is that they're hard. So slow to whatever bend I can do and push back up. And so we often send our head forward, or we kind of turn into a hammock in our lower back. Okay, so let's take a break from that. That was 5. I'm going to just adjust my chair a little bit. So again, minimize the range of motion at first. You want to go slow down and powerfully up. Take breaks from your hands and wrists when you need to. Remember, you're also building strength through the forearm to the wrist. Our wrists get a little tired sometimes as we get older, and they also can have things like osteoarthritis. And so that refers to pain in the brain. The brain says this is painful. Remember, we have to build the capacity of the wrist. Okay, so I'm going to go down and I'm going to come back up. So when I get stronger, I'll be able to go down lower. So I change the angle, slow, and then back up. But if you only do push-ups in my class once a week, maybe 3 or 5 of them, you're not going to build the strength to be able to do 15 of them. Yeah. And pull back. So if you haven't been doing push-ups, that was 10, and that was a lot, and that might be enough for this week. Next week, we'll do this 2 more times this week, and then next week, add another push-up, so you go for 11. All right, we're going to come forward. Those of you who can join me, we're doing 5 more. Slow on the way down and quick on the way up. If you were using the chair, that's great. Remember, you can also use a wall. Hands are lower than the shoulders, but you don't want to just stay at the wall, right? At first, you may build strength here. And after a while, you got to change the angle so that you're lifting more weight. When I'm at the wall, I'm not lifting as much weight as when I'm on the chair. Okay, so that was exercise number 3. So now we're going to go to the rows. So you're on the park bench. You You could just create resistance in your arm because again, we're just trying to get the body moving through these motions so that gradually over time, we can add weight to the exercises. This is 2 pounds. A liter of water is about 2 pounds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my feet slightly apart, bend both knees, hinge at the hips. So there's the deadlift. Yep, but my feet are in a different position. One hand is going to be down here. The arm is going to be long. Now, what I'm not doing is letting my shoulder blade glide off my back. I've got everything engaged right up here. And then I pull back and I slowly lower back down. I pull back, and can you see how it's back by my waist and my elbow is in tight? It makes my front shoulder stretch and slowly down. And I pull up. So this is slow on the way down, quicker on the way up. Slow on the way down, quicker on the way up, slow on the way down. So you may be noticing, that was 5, that the muscles over the back of your buttock, over the back of your pelvis, are in a stretched position while you're loaded, meaning while your torso is in this position, and so are your quadricep muscles on the front of your thighs, and so are your calves down in the ankles. So they are all holding isometrically in a lengthened against load position, and you'll probably start to feel them. My head stays pretty neutral, my shoulder blade stays on my back body, and I move the arm. We've got 2 more for 15. And 1. Okay, now I got to move over to the other side of the chair. I'll turn the chair. Hard to turn a park bench, isn't it? So the arm that's working, that leg is back, so it's out of the way. Again, I stand tall, a hip hinge, so I'm in that deadlift position. Keep crown of the head to the tail long. I pull up and slowly down. So I'm not pulling towards my armpit or breast. I'm pulling back towards my waist. We do a lot of push actions in yoga particularly, and we don't do a lot of pull actions. So the pull actions are really important to help balance out the strength of the shoulders, the work of the shoulder blade. This is kind of the partner of push-ups, something like this. Yeah, single arm rows. And this will show up in a lot of different weight training, resistance, strength training activities. This pull and this slow release. This pull and this slow release. Really hold everything steady except the arm that's moving through space. What's happening at your neck? You can hear my water in my water bottle. And let's do 1 more to make 15. Hope I counted right. Okay, so those 4 exercises are great exercises. When you take my longevity workshop, my longevity strength workshop, you're going to work on those. Those 4 things are going to come into play because they're sort of stable, stable elements of the recipe. Okay, so the next thing is step ups. If you're in a park, so I could easily, because I'm used to it, I can easily step up onto something this high with control. But most people are not going to be able to do that. So we start you with a much lower step up. So if you're in a park, you go over to where there's stairs or where there's a curb or where there's an edge that's really solid and won't move. Right now, you're going to see me using yoga blocks. Now, if you stack 2 yoga blocks and do this, you need to be careful that your blocks are really stable and maybe even be close to a wall. But even being close to the wall, the potential of these blocks moving a little bit and you losing your balance is there. So you want to always really be aware of that. Now with step ups, and if you belong to a gym, you'll see they have a lot of what are called boxes, right? And sometimes they're made of really dense foam covered in black, and sometimes they're wood, sometimes they're metal. So you have that opportunity to use those step ups in gyms. They're typically start at 12 inches and they'll go much higher up to like 3 feet or more sometimes. So we're creating our own and we're on our walk and we've done our first 4 exercises. Now we're going to do step ups. The thing about step ups is it's all about control. It's not about speed. So those of you who did step aerobics with me in the 90s, that's not what we're doing. We're controlling the activity. So I'm just going to stand next to the wall to demo. I'm going to place one foot up on the step. Right, so if I'm in a park and there's a bottom step of a staircase, a stairway, I put my foot up onto that stair. And when my foot comes up, I shift my body weight over that foot. I try not to push off this foot. I try to use this leg to come up and then this leg to lower. So I step, get my body weight, my trunk over my leg. I push that foot into whatever I'm stepping up on. I just looked at my knee. You don't have to. Yep. And then I come down. So the down is as important as the up. Here we're creating a concentric contraction. We're shortening the muscles at the kneecap and the buttock. Yep. And then as we come down, we're working on what's called deceleration of the knee to come down. So I come forward. I push into that foot. I try not to push off this foot. And then I control it on the way down. And I kind of went fast on the way down because I was losing my balance. Coming over your foot, pushing up. Chances are you feel your knee a little bit because we're asking the tendon over the kneecap to really work in what we call time under tension. So see how I'm not stepping up from here? I get my body weight over that leg. So now this leg is the power leg to stand up. And I keep my body weight over it until I step all the way. So I'm not doing this, right? I get my body weight over it. So it's loaded. This leg has my body weight on it. And I step up and I step down. Now that wasn't 15. That's okay because of this video is going to get really long. It was about 8. So work up to 15. Second leg, no. So I'm going to get my body weight over it. And I'm going to come up. My blocks don't feel stable. So I'm going to come down. And sure enough, they got off center. In fact, let me just show you, it could be done with one block, right? I get my foot up, get my weight over. I come up. I slowly come down. Now the down isn't nearly as much and the up isn't nearly as much because the block is much lower. Body weight over it, that's important. I step up. I step down. Now, those of you who are walkers, some of you I know use walking poles when you walk. So you can do this with walking poles as well, right? Your walking poles help stabilize you. So eventually, gradually, and I do a lot of this work for training for backpacking, because you know I'm an avid backpacker, and I'm an avid off-trail backpacker, learning to be. And off-trail means that there's not a trail that you're on. So you're often walking in a lot of changing terrain, on talus, on things that slip, on rocks, up and down things that are steep. And so my capacity to be able to step up and step down off of things is really important. So gradually over time, the way we make this harder is we step up higher. We step up more slowly and down more slowly, right? We do things like hold weights up here. That changes the whole balance and structure. Or we hold weights down here. I often hold kettlebells in my hands, like suitcases, yeah, so that there's even more weight that this leg has to contend with. I'm going to do one more of these, and again, I'm going to remind you that you are not, especially when it's low, it's easy to just get your leg out in front of you and leave your body behind you. You got to get, this weighs a lot. This weight is on this leg. Now this leg has to contend with lifting me up and lowering me. Okay. So these are the 5 exercises I suggested in the blog post. They are by no means the only resistance exercises in the world. There are so many. I did nothing that was diagonal. I did nothing that was really rotational. We want those kind of activities as well. But if you're new to resistance training, take these 5 exercises, play with them over the next 3 weeks or so with just body weight. Add them in somewhere where you can. We can do this in our house. We can do this on a walk. We can ask a friend to join us. You really want to start resistance training 2 to 3 times a week at least. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Let me know what you think about the blog post.